There's something I wish my family had known when I started going through menopause. Actually, there are a lot of things I wish they had known, but the truth is, I never told them. And looking back now, I don't think they failed me. I think we were all trying to navigate something none of us understood. For a long time, I thought menopause was something that was happening only to me, my body, my hormones, my symptoms, my struggle. But years later, I realized something surprising. Menopause wasn't just affecting me, it was affecting everyone around me, my husband, my children, my friends, even the people who loved me most. The problem wasn't that they didn't care, the problem was that they didn't understand. And honestly, neither did I. If I could go back and talk to the woman I was back then, I would tell her to have one very important conversation. A conversation I avoided because I didn't know how to put my feelings into words. Because the truth is that some days I didn't understand what I was feeling myself. How could I explain it to anyone else? At first, I thought I was simply stressed. Life was busy. There was always something that needed my attention: work, family, responsibilities. The endless list of things that somehow only seems to get longer as we get older. I was tired all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. I felt overwhelmed by things that had never bothered me before, and little by little, my family started noticing changes in me. The problem was that they were seeing the symptoms, not the cause. My husband would ask if something was wrong, and I would immediately say, no, even when something was wrong, not because I wanted to lie, but because I genuinely didn't know how to explain it. How do you explain waking up exhausted after a full night in bed? How do you explain feeling emotional for no obvious reason? How do you explain crying during a commercial that wasn't even sad? Some days I felt irritable. Other days I felt anxious. Sometimes I felt disconnected, and the worst part was that I didn't feel like myself anymore. Looking back now, I realized something that breaks my heart a little. My family wasn't seeing what I was going through. They were seeing my reactions. They saw impatience, they saw frustration, they saw fatigue. But they couldn't see the sleepless nights. They couldn't feel the hormonal changes. They couldn't hear the constant questions running through my head. And because they couldn't see those things, misunderstandings started to happen. One of the hardest lessons I learned is that people can love you deeply and still not understand what you're experiencing. Those are not the same thing. I remember one particular evening, nothing dramatic happened. Nobody was yelling, nobody was fighting, but I remember feeling completely overwhelmed by something small. A simple question, a normal conversation, the kind of thing that would never have bothered me before. And suddenly, I found myself reacting much more strongly than I normally would. Afterward, I felt guilty, not because I wanted to react that way, but because I didn't recognize myself. Have you ever had one of those moments where you hear yourself speak and think, why did I react like that? That happened to me more than once, and every time it did, I felt like I was losing a little piece of myself. Meanwhile, my family was trying to figure out what was happening. My husband probably wondered if I was upset with him. My children probably wondered why I seemed distant some days. And I was wondering exactly the same thing. Nobody had the full picture, and that's why communication became so difficult. The strange thing about menopause is that it can make you feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people who love you. Not because you're actually alone, but because what you're experiencing is largely invisible. People see the outside, you live the inside. And those can be two very different realities. There were nights when I lay awake at 3 a.m, staring at the ceiling. My husband was asleep beside me. The house was quiet. Everything looked peaceful, but inside my mind, it felt like a storm. I wish I had told him that. I wish I had explained that my silence wasn't distance. It was exhaustion. I wish I had explained that sometimes I wasn't angry. I was overwhelmed. I wish I had explained that when I wanted to be alone, it wasn't because I didn't love them. It was because I was struggling to understand myself. But I didn't say those things because I thought I should be able to handle it. I thought I needed to figure it out on my own. And if there's one thing I've learned since then, it's this. The people who love us cannot read our minds. No matter how much they care, no matter how much they want to help, they need us to tell them what we're going through. That sounds obvious now, but it wasn't obvious to me then. I kept hoping someone would magically understand. I wanted someone to look at me and know exactly what I needed. I wanted someone to recognize my exhaustion without me saying a word. I wanted someone to understand my sadness before I explained it. and sometimes they did. But most of the time, they couldn't, because they're human, just like I am. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things I would do differently today. I would talk more. I would explain more. I would stop pretending everything was fine, not because I wanted sympathy, but because understanding creates connection, and connection reduces suffering. If I could go back and tell my family what I needed most during menopause, it wouldn't be advice. It wouldn't be solutions. And it definitely wouldn't be someone telling me to just relax. What I needed most was understanding. The first thing I wish they had done was this. When I seemed irritated or overwhelmed, I wish they had understood that I wasn't angry at them. Most of the time, I wasn't even angry. I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I was carrying emotions I didn't fully understand myself. I didn't need an argument. I didn't need someone to defend themselves. I just needed someone to listen, to let me vent, to say, "Tell me what's going on," and then simply stay. The second thing I wish they had done was give me permission to rest. Not because I was lazy, not because I couldn't handle life, but because I was tired in a way I'd never experienced before. Sometimes what I needed most wasn't another suggestion. It was someone saying, "Don't worry about dinner today. I'll take care of the dishes. You go rest for a while." Looking back now, even one afternoon without responsibilities would have felt like a gift. The third thing I wish they had done was hold me when I didn't understand myself. There were days when I couldn't explain what I was feeling. Days when I felt emotional, confused, overwhelmed, or simply unlike myself. I didn't need questions. I didn't need advice. I didn't need someone trying to fix me. I needed a hug, a hand on my shoulder, a moment of kindness, a reminder that I wasn't facing everything alone. The fourth thing I wish they had known is that not every problem needs a solution. Sometimes people who love us immediately start looking for ways to fix things. But menopause isn't something your family can fix. What they can do is walk through it with you. Listen, be patient, stay present. And honestly, that kind of support means more than most people realize. And finally, I wish they had known that this was a season. Not forever, not the new normal for the rest of my life. Just a season. A difficult season, yes, but one that would eventually pass. And during that season, what I needed most wasn't perfection. It was patience. Looking back now, I realize my family and I were on the same team the entire time. We just didn't know it. I thought they couldn't understand me. They thought they couldn't help me. And both of us were carrying burdens we never talked about. The beautiful thing is that once we started communicating more openly, everything became easier. Not perfect, but easier. Because understanding doesn't solve every problem, but it removes a lot of unnecessary pain. Today, when I meet women going through menopause, I often tell them something I wish someone had told me years ago. Don't go through this alone. Talk to your family, talk to your spouse, talk to your children if they're old enough to understand. Help them understand what you're experiencing, because the people who love you want to support you. They just don't always know how. And sometimes all it takes is one honest conversation, one moment of vulnerability, one simple sentence. Something like, "I'm having a hard time right now." That sentence can change everything. If you're going through menopause today, please remember this. You are not difficult. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are navigating a major life transition, and you deserve understanding, not only from others, but from yourself. So let me ask you something. Looking back, what do you wish your family had understood about your menopause journey? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if this video spoke to your heart today, please give it a like, subscribe, and join our Reset After 50 community, because none of us should have to go through this season of life feeling alone. And sometimes the words we wish we had said become the very words someone else needs to hear.